All right, class. IWS, thank you for being here with me today. As you know, my name is Jared T. Ross, and today we're going to talk about how we can actually design NFTs. In past classes, we've gone through the creation process. Today, I want to give you some guidance, right? I'm not going to train you to be a graphic designer. Understand that. This is not going to be where I'm opening up Photoshop and showing you how you can create all these different shapes and images. That's not what this is, but I am going to point you in the right direction of the tools, the resources that you can use in order to create some of this NFT art that you're seeing. And keep in mind, you don't have to be an artist. You don't have to even create any art. Okay. Don't get so caught up on thinking of NFTs as art based. A lot of them are, right? That's kind of the entrance into the NFT world. But there's so many other NFTs that have nothing to do with art at all. So don't get caught up on that. And you have to understand, if you do want to go the art route, if you do want to start creating art that you can sell as NFTs, understand that's going to take months, if not years, of trial and error, of practicing in these various programs and platforms in order to master your craft and master your own style. And then on top of that, you actually have to build a brand as an artist if you want people to truly respect and seek your NFTs. This isn't something where it's like Facebook Marketplace or eBay, where you post something on these NFT marketplaces and it's going to get this organic reach and these organic views. Okay. So make sure that you understand that. It's not just going to be an easy post and ad and it's going to sell for sure. There has to be some marketing behind it. So make sure you aren't just jumping into this thinking you can open up something like Canva and use their clip art. Add a whole bunch of, maybe you color the background and then you sell that as an NFT. It's not going to be that simple. There's a lot of work that goes into this. There's a lot of branding and marketing that's going to be required to successfully sell one of your NFTs if it's art based. Now, you can go a totally other direction where you don't have to do any art whatsoever. And in that case, you would probably be integrating a product or service. So I'm going to share my screen here. And then we are going to take a look at some of these resources for you. But before we look into those resources, I just want to highlight some of the NFTs inside of my wallet. And y'all have already seen inside of my wallet before, right? In other classes, we've gone through this more in depth. And can y'all see my screen right now? Let me know in the comments if you can see my screen. I'm not seeing any comments so far. I'm assuming y'all can see me then. Okay, we can't see my screen. Uh, Miko, could you help us out with that? Could you fix my screen share so it's visible? Okay. Well, look, I'm gonna just explain some of these NFTs until we get that screen pulled up. Okay, perfect. Here we go. So what we're looking at now is inside my NFT wallet. And y'all can feel free to just look up my name, Jared T. Ross, and you'll be able to see everything that's inside my wallet. So we have a bunch of these NFTs, okay? And all of them are going to have some type of visual element. So yes, you have to have a visual. It doesn't have to be art. Okay, so a lot of these avatar style projects is what we see very commonly. And these are heavily art based, right? But we also have something like a Decentraland username. And that's one of those little mini metaverses, those gaming worlds that you can go into. And instead of just creating a username, you create it and you buy it, and then you can resell it. So right here, I have this username, right? And this is the username of an artist that we're going to talk about in a little bit. And they just put the name on this very plain background, right? And that's the NFT. Now, the reason why it doesn't have to be art based is because there's true utility behind it. It's integrated into a gaming world. Let's keep looking. We also have domain names, jrtross.eth, right? So these Web 3.0 domain names are very much in the same way that those Decentraland names are. This is a great example here. The CityDAO Citizen NFT. Okay, so what this is, a group of people were trying to connect physical real estate. So they're buying up physical real estate out in Wyoming, and they're trying to connect that to the blockchain. And the way that they're doing that is by creating this DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. And we have voting rights. The NFT holders of this have voting rights as far as what that land is used for, how it's going to be divided up into parcels, and we'll have early access to purchase that land when it's available. Nonetheless, They didn't go and hire some artist to create this amazing visual. All they did was they found this fancy background, or maybe they had someone create it, and then they put a blank template of something like a land title right on top of it, and that's the NFT. So keep that in mind when you're integrating products or services or experiences into the world of NFTs. You don't always have to have a art-based NFT. It's okay. And we'll talk about how we can create those as well. Even 19 Keys, right? He has his infinite wealth strategies as the logo, and that's the NFT. There wasn't he didn't hire some artist to come and create this whole new graphic. He just took his logo for IWS and turned that into an NFT. And sometimes it can be as simple as that. But I understand a lot of us are seeing this art based stuff take off, and we might want to get into it. So, we're going to go over a couple of those tools and resources that you can use. We're going to talk about how you can start designing that pixelated art that we see very common. We're even going to talk about these style projects where they have a base character, in this case, the shape of the moon boy, and they have all these different traits that come on top of it. Things like these horns, the color of the helmet, the color of the suit. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can start structuring something like that out, but understand that in particular is quite advanced. Nonetheless, let's refocus and start talking about these art-based NFTs, okay? Now, this is Blue Boy, right? You saw that by his Decentraland username. But this is Blue Boy, and he's been an artist, a fashion designer who's worked with global brands, with big influencers like Kanye West. He's just designed the latest Sprite can, right? He's not doing this for fun. He did this because he's actually partnered with Sprite on this mission. And so he's been putting out this content for years and years and years. So people know he's branded himself as this artist. So this is what you want to opt for if you are going the art route, okay? You need to develop yourself as an artist so that people know, oh, this person isn't just, creating art in these free programs and then listing them up online, right? And you know what? Let's take a look because you're going to get spam NFTs sometimes, okay? Spam NFTs may show up in your wallet. These are actually all legit up here. But as we scroll down, we start seeing stuff like this, right? And a lot of these, mostly these three right here, these were kind of just thrown together. Maybe they got them for free online somewhere. There wasn't a high level of effort that went into these. And so these are spam NFTs. People create them usually on the Polygon blockchain so that they don't have to pay any gas fees. And then they just send them to people's wallet against their will. And now that's why these are in the hidden section. But you don't want to be creating art that just looks lazy. Okay. So there's a lot of effort that goes into it. But keep in mind, let's say you do want to go the art route, but you are not an artist and you don't want to spend the months or years taking the time to learn all these programs and learning your art style to develop that skill. So you can actually outsource some of this work. One of those websites is Fiverr, right? And a lot of y'all are already going to be familiar with Fiverr. You can do so many different things on here. And one of them is hire artists. Now, I say Fiverr, but I'm going to caution you against it, or at least caution you in the way that you're going to use it, right? So if you come on a site like this, make sure that you're going to work more intimately one-on-one with the artist to create something truly unique. Okay. You want to make sure that's something that's truly unique because people are going to have a style on here, right? People have this style. If you come on here and you buy one of their packages where they just design you something that fits within their own style already, you're going to come out with a very generic looking visual for your artwork. So you want something more intimate, more one-on-one, where y'all sit on a Zoom call, when y'all are sharing drawings that you're creating and mock-ups of what this art may look like. You want that to be very intimate, one-on-one time, and you're not usually going to get that on Fiverr. And oftentimes when I see an NFT that has been created on Fiverr, I can call that out. I'll be able to identify that. And those people who are really tuned in to this world are going to be able to do the same thing. So I caution you against it. If you go this route, make sure the creator is willing to work more intimately one-on-one with you. Now, an alternative to Fiverr is Upwork, another place you can get these freelancers. And I recommend Upwork because you do have that one-on-one intimacy more often than on Fiverr. So you can come on here, create your account, you can post a job listing, and then you can hire people and see their portfolio as they submit proposals to you. And you can also search through talent and maybe find somebody that you wouldn't otherwise have found if you just posted a job listing. But you can search through here and find people who are within your budget and fit your art style that you're looking for, and you can hire them to create you custom work. Now, the alternative is you can even go on Instagram and just explore all these artists because there's so many brilliant artists on there that have tiny followings, don't get the recognition, and maybe you could partner with them. And then you launch your NFTs, and then you give them the shout out. Say, hey, the artist behind this is so and so, and you're just the person who had the idea, who had the vision behind it, and that's fine. But make sure if you are working with an artist on an intimate level, you should probably be giving them credit for that artwork. But again, that's in the that's in the case that you don't decide to do this art yourself and brand yourself as an artist. So, those are two websites that you can go to outsource some of that work. But let's talk a little bit about getting into that work yourself. So, this is kind of the flow of the class that we're looking at here. So, again, just to reiterate, it's usually not enough just to make great art. So, maybe you get into these programs that we're about to cover, and maybe you're great, but that's usually not enough. There has to be some type of brand building so that people care about you, people get to know you a little bit more before there's actual demand for your work. Okay, so understand that, and keep in mind you don't always have to go the traditional art route of graphic design. We see so much graphic design inside of the NFT space, right? Because that's what most people think of when they think of digital art. But there's others as well. There's videography. If you're good with a camera, go ahead and pick up that camera and make some content that you can then edit in something like Premiere Pro, and then you can share that with the world, right? I have an NFT out that's a video, that's a self interview talking about when I dropped out of college, and that's an NFT. Okay, so videography is another route. You don't have to be learning these graphic design programs. Photography is another option. In fact, I think we're going to see a big run in the NFT photography space pretty soon here because I think that's very underrated. And I think more and more people are starting to look in that direction. So, photography, and you don't need nothing special. You could just use your phone and maybe you open it up in some of these simple mobile apps for editing. And then you can edit your photo right there and you can turn that into an NFT. Easy as that. You could also take your physical paintings or drawings and turn those into NFTs, right? And what that would require is taking high res photos of your physical painting or drawing and uploading that. And if you have a scanner, you could also scan that to get it digital. But oftentimes, if it's something that's big, like a big canvas, you're going to have to take photos of that. You may have to take photos of sections of it individually and then open it up in a program and piece them together or hire somebody to do that for you. But that's another option. So don't get so caught up on this digital art piece. You can take physical art and turn it digital as well. Now, let's consider some of these digital art programs. We have Photoshop, right? All of y'all have heard of Photoshop before, right? Oh, that's the wrong one. Photoshop. So we have Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop, and they have a whole suite of tools. Okay, so if you come on the Adobe website, you're going to see that you can't just get one of these products individually, usually, unless they've changed something since I've been in it. But you can get this whole package for about $30 a month. Okay, and you get all of these tools within Adobe. It's a very, very powerful package to get. And I think $30 a month is more than fair. So Photoshop is photo editing. You do graphic design in here, right? There's also Adobe Illustrator that comes in that package for $30 a month. So you can get Illustrator, which is also for graphic design, but more of those vector images, those ones that you can zoom into really close and it keeps the resolution. It's very crisp. Whereas photos, you keep zooming in, zooming in, zooming in. It's going to get very pixelated and it's not going to look too good. But Photoshop and Illustrator are absolutely some tools that I would recommend. There's also Blender, and now we're getting into 3D animation, right? 3D animation or design doesn't always have to be animated. But Blender is a free program and there's tons of tutorials. Understand this on YouTube. And this is part of the reason why I'm not teaching y'all how to do all this graphic design. One, because I don't really know how to teach graphic design. I can do some myself, but that's not where I focus on teaching. And I don't know how to do 3D design either, but I know that these tools exist and I've opened them up before, played around. But if you really want to get serious into this, Blender is a great tool that you can be utilizing to create some of these 3D animations or 3D designs. We also have Maya. That's also for 3D. So this is yet another tool that you may want to download. Now, I think this one is paid. but you can get a free trial right here. So Maya is great for animation as well. Or some other ones. Canva. Y'all know Canva, right? Now, I tell you Canva, but again, take it with a grain of salt. Because it's so easy to use, a lot of your stuff's going to come out looking very, very generic. So I caution you against using this and relying on it a lot. And you would have to be careful with a program or with a software like this. You have to be careful about the licensing issue because each of these, let me see if there's a Canva licensing. You use a free program like this where they provide you all of these free assets, there's often going to be license agreements that will prohibit you from using certain assets in commercial ways, right? So some of these graphics and things you create here aren't going to be able to be used as NFTs. Now, realistically, sure, you could post it, you could sell it, probably no one's going to come after you. But if you happen to make a big hit and you make a whole lot of money and Canva recognizes their assets, they could come after you, right? So you always want to play it safe and follow these licensing agreements when they're using these services. So understand that. Now, if you don't want to pay for something like Photoshop, there's also something called GIMP. And GIMP is something that you can utilize, and it's going to be pretty straightforward. It's very similar to Photoshop. And again, there's a whole bunch of tutorials on YouTube for using all of these programs that we've covered, all of them. So GIMP is going to be another one that you may want to put in your back pocket. And maybe instead of getting Photoshop at first, you download GIMP and learn a little bit about that before you get into something more advanced like Photoshop. Now, some of y'all might be thinking, oh, what if I don't have a computer? Or what if my computer isn't powerful enough or up to date enough in order to run those programs? So that's fine. You can also use these mobile apps, right? The Real Artist Gemini on Instagram, right? She uses mobile apps for a lot of her NFTs. Okay, so she's a resource that you may want to look out to. I believe like these 3D models, those are done on a computer, but there are some of her content that has been done on mobile, like this right here, right? This was all done on her phone. Okay, so there are some things that you can be using just on your mobile device, and that's fine. You can turn these into NFTs. So Pixar is going to be one of those. Affinity is another one. Procreate, which I think is only for the iPad. It's a little bit more advanced. I particularly like that from what I've seen. I haven't used it myself. There's Voci and there's XEFX Pro. So you can take a picture or take a screenshot of these or just catch the replay and write these down. But these are some mobile apps that you could be utilizing in your NFT design. And make sure if y'all got questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll check it out. All right, let's talk about pixel art, right? And I'm talking about things like CryptoPunks, right? This is a very popular look for NFTs right now. Is this very pixelated, very basic art. So you see a lot of these now. And CryptoPunks were the ones who started it, but a lot of people are looking to figure out how they can create this for themselves. Okay, there's a lot of great tools, right? You could use something like Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator, but there's some more simple options that you could utilize to make these pretty quickly. So the first thing that you want to do is usually get a reference image. In this case, we're going to look up a penguin. Right, so I put a penguin clip art. You can find something like this. Taking a while to load. Okay, I lost it. Which one did I click on? There we go. So I'm going to hit save image. So go ahead, just download that image. Then you come to this website, resizeimage.net. Okay, resizeimage.net. And it doesn't have to be this one. You can look up others as well. But I'll upload that image here. And I'm going to scroll down to resize. I'm going to uncheck that. I'm going to change this to 32. Change this to 32. And I'm just going to leave that alone, whatever it's set at. And you're going to make sure this is set on PNG. and then you hit resize. It's going to resize. You hit this download image option. Picture will download, and then you can come to this website. It's called pixelart.com, and that's PIXILART. So it's not spelled like normal, like Pixel normally would be, but it's pixelart.com. And you can see some of the creations that people have made on here, right? You can get pretty darn advanced if you spend the time to learn it. But at a very simple level, you can hit start drawing. Come up here to file, hit new. For whatever reason, it's not, oh, there it was, it loaded. All right, so you come to here, and then where does it say upload? Oh, my bad. Open image right here. Hit open image. Then you will select that resized image that you just downloaded. And then this is what you're going to get. So it's already somewhat pixelated, but it doesn't look clean like those CryptoPunks, right? So what you would do is you would come in here, select the colors that you want. You probably want to make an outline of it first, but you would come in here and you would just outline. Typically those pixelated images, they have like a black outline around them, a solid black outline. And you can see this here is like a gradient. So you can just kind of go over this. But all you would do is you would come in here and go over this, go over your image. And you can even do this with photos. It would take a whole lot more time to get that right. But this is what you could do. So you create that outline, right? Let me show you those CryptoPunks again. See, they all got this black outline around them. That's what you would want to do. Create this black outline first. And then you would fill in the rest of it. So you can come here and choose this color, for example. And you would go over the beak. And you just want to make it cleaner, because right now it's rough around the edges. The colors are kind of gradient. So you just come in and make sure you're making them equal. I'm going a little bit fast here, so it might not be perfect, but you can see it's getting cleaned up. Okay, there we got that. Then you come up here, get the eyes. So y'all get the idea. Y'all can start with clip art. Okay, you find a free piece of clip art online, and then you bring it in here after you've resized it, and you can come in here and make it look a whole lot better. And so that's basically the principle behind this. I think y'all get the idea. I'm gonna check the comments to see if y'all have any questions about this. Doesn't look like it so far. Okay, but yeah, it's very, very simple to do this. It can be time consuming depending on how complex your image is and how complex you want that image to be. But this is one of those tools where it doesn't cost you any money. It doesn't take you much time to get this set up, but it will take you some time to actually go through and customize the image to your liking. And that's fine. You should be expected to take a lot of time with this art. Now, this would probably be best for creating like one-of-one pieces. But if you want to create these big, massive pieces where you see like 10,000 different NFTs within a project, that does get a little bit more advanced. And that's called generative art. Okay. So let me give you some more concrete examples. So we're going to take a look inside my wallet once again. And it's these style of avatar projects that I'm referring to when I say generative art. Okay. So let me just let this load for a moment. So I'm going to click on this particular project, for instance. So there's 10,000 of these, 10,000 different of these NFTs, all within the same world, within the same project. So the people behind this project, it's not like they went through and manually minted 10,000. They didn't go through and manually design 10,000 of these. That would take way too much time. So instead, they design assets. And these assets, which are listed right here, right? They designed different hairs, right? In this case, they designed 71 different styles of hair. They designed 15 different styles of what could be on someone's back, right? So in this case, a bat, axes, um, more axes, but you get the idea. They designed 37 different styles of hats. Okay, so they designed all these different assets. Let me show you this, right? So you would create your base character, and these are just images that I grabbed online. You create your base character, okay? And in this case, it would just be they had two base characters. They had a male and a female, right? Those were the base characters. They all kind of look the same, but then they have the variances of the skin color. And all these things are called assets. So these glasses, for example, these would be an example of different assets that I would create in different styles for glasses on this particular character. Another example of these assets could be shoes, or could be the color of the shirt, the color of the skin, the style of the eyes, whether the mouth is smiling or straight faced. So these are all be different assets, and you have to design them individually. And this would take place on something like Photoshop or Illustrator. So that's why I say it's a bit more advanced. Okay. And not only that, but you design all these different assets. You'll probably have a few hundred. So you design these different assets, and instead of you manually creating these combinations to create 10,000 different NFTs within a project, you would have to reach out to a developer, someone who knows coding. In fact, there's actually a couple YouTube videos that'll guide you through the process of randomly generating these NFTs, right? So you need to know a little bit of code, or at least know how to follow along a tutorial. And as you go through this coding process, you're going to tell the computer to randomly generate and mix up these assets into unique characters. And then you will get 10,000 different ones. Now, that's not where it stops, right? Because now you've just created these 10,000 different versions of your avatar. Now, how do you turn those into NFTs, right? Because you're not going to go through that minting process that I've shown y'all on something like Rarible. I'm not going to come here and click on this create button up top and go through and manually mint all 10,000 of them. So instead, this is another moment where a developer who knows how to code in Solidity, which is the smart contract language of the Ethereum blockchain, you're going to have to reach out to them and say, hey, look, I need you to help me deploy this project to the blockchain, right? So you're not going to come here and do this individually for all your NFTs. It's unrealistic. So you're going to reach out to a developer. Now, how do you find these developers, right? It's not like you can go to a website necessarily and see, oh, these are all the Solidity developers. However, you could try finding them on something like Upwork. But more often than not, those successful projects are finding their developers through Twitter and Discord. So you got to be tuned into those two places if you plan on getting into the world of NFTs, Twitter and Discord. And then you'll start researching projects. You go, okay, who's the team behind this? You go through, you find the team, you say, oh, these are the developers. And then you could reach out to them and say, hey, look, this is my budget. What can y'all do for me? And this is the project. Would y'all be interested in working with this? And they'll tell you yes or no. Okay, so Twitter is a big way, but you can also get in these Discord communities where they have developers. Now, this is probably going to be pretty expensive for you to hire a developer. Now, sometimes you can offer them equity. You can offer them a percent of the royalties instead of paying them upfront or in addition. But that can save you some upfront money in some cases, offering them a royalty percentage on all the future sales. But if that's going to work, they need to believe that this is going to be a successful project, right? Which is going to require you bringing on a whole bunch of other team members for marketing, for community management, and you're going to want at least two developers, right? Because I've seen so many projects, they have one developer, and that developer, because they are the ones who create the smart contracts and deploy all 10,000 of these NFTs onto the blockchain. Now, that developer, because they have this specialized knowledge that others don't have, they could take advantage of you. They could absolutely take advantage of you, and they can put in the code some type of malicious code that will steal an extra percent of the royalty. So they could say, hey, 80% is going to go to me as the developer. But they could have told you or agreed with you on a totally different percent. But just know these devs can get into smart contracts and they can mess things up, which is why I recommend having two, so that you have two pairs of eyes on this, so that two people can review and check each other's work to make sure there's no fishy business going on. So that's what I would recommend if you do go that route. Okay, so again, that's far more advanced. That's far more advanced. If you've never created an NFT, if you've never sold one, if you've never bought one, don't go that route. And in fact, I want to say this. If you're thinking about creating and selling NFTs, you need to have bought a couple first. I don't care whether that's on Solana or Cardano or Ethereum. Buy some NFTs first. It's so, so important so that you have gone through the customer journey and you know what people are about to experience. So go and buy some first before you start trying to create and sell them. And of course, you can still practice your art and design stuff, but don't mince an NFT and try to sell that unless you've had one or two under your belt already. Now, for those people who are interested in getting into NFTs, but don't necessarily want to do the art piece, or don't feel like learning that, or just think it's irrelevant to them, that's fine. Let's talk a little bit about how you can find these assets to help you create your visual. I'm going to pull up my OpenSea once again. As I always say, NFTs are for everybody. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to be interested in art. You don't have to like it any bit. You just have to understand NFTs. So look, we're going to take a look at my crypto audit checklist, right? And again, your NFT can be as simple as your logo, just like 19 Keys did in this case for Infinite Wealth Strategies. It can be as simple as your logo, right? And what I'm about to talk about now is specifically for people who are looking to integrate products or services into the world of NFTs, because in that case, the art becomes a whole lot less important because the true value is in the product or service that someone's trying to buy. So when I was creating my crypto audit checklist, I had a designer create the cover for it, right? And I could have just uploaded the cover and that would have been it. That would have been the NFT and that could have been fine. But I wanted to do it I want to do a little bit more. I want to make it look a little bit more unique. I wanted to make it super clear that it was an ebook. So what did I do? I went on Google and I typed in the magazine mockups right there. You can find these free assets, right? So, for example, and typically you're going to need Photoshop for this. So, I'll tell you that you're usually going to need Photoshop for this. So, this is a 3D magazine mockup, okay? And these mockups allow me to easily replace the image on them, and it will still look good. It will still look 3D. So what I can do is I can download this. You want to make sure it's free for commercial use. So if you find something that you like, go and check the website, and then you can read a little bit more about what you're allowed to use it for, and if it's actually free or if it costs money. But you find these assets, and then you upload them to Photoshop, and typically there's instructions for you, but you can change the cover image, and it's going to look totally legit, like it's actually on there. Okay, so that's one option that you can take if you're trying to integrate ebook, for example, right? And you could do the same thing. You do book, right? You could do that if you're selling mugs. You could do 3D mug mockup. There's so many free 3D models that you can open in Photoshop and upload your own imagery to. So keep that in mind as you sell these products and services. It could be as simple as this. Or maybe you do want to go and do something more creative and you hire an artist. Fine, it doesn't really matter as long as people are getting the product or service that they're trying to buy. Because in the case of you integrating a product or service into NFTs, it's really just an alternative payment method. That's all it is. It's just an alternative payment method, different way for people to pay. So if you go to my checklist, for example, that's literally all it is. And the artwork does not matter any bit. You can pay in US dollars. You can click here. This will open up Rarible for you, and then you can purchase the NFT edition. That's it. So the artwork is irrelevant in that case. Same idea for the City Dow Citizen NFT. Doesn't really matter what it looks like. I think this one looks pretty cool, but it doesn't really have to. This is another ebook. Same idea. Doesn't really matter because I'm buying it for the ebook. So if you are doing something like that, if you're looking to integrate these products and services, it's not the artwork is not as important. So I would not spend your time learning these different programs and learning how to be an artist unless you truly want to do that. So we went over quite a bit. I pointed you in directions. And like somebody mentioned in the comments, now you got to take the letter to Garcia. You have to go out. And if you really want to, go and learn these programs. There's tons of free content. You can take an entire course, multiple courses, right on YouTube for just about all of these programs that we went over. Okay. So now it's in your hands if you really want to take this route, but understand it's going to take a long time. Just creating a piece of art and uploading it to an NFT marketplace is not going to make sales in most cases, unless you get super lucky. But you need to have some type of branding behind you as an artist, as a designer, to get that respect and to get that marketing and to get that audience to be looking at your work. So, I just wanted to bring all of that to your attention. I'll pause for a little bit to see if y'all have any questions, but that's really all I had for you. I just want to point you in these directions because a lot of people, they just didn't even know where to start. They had no idea what programs they should be using, what websites they can go to. And now you have a few. You have a few under your belt, and it's up to you to go and take these tools and start learning about them, start mastering them, and seeing what you can create. Okay? So it's up to y'all. I'm not seeing anything in the chat. So we are going to wrap this class up. It was a quick mini one, but it's going to point you in the right direction for NFTs. And feel free, message me in the IWS chat for NFTs, and I'm happy to answer any questions. If y'all get stuck on something, aren't sure about something, feel free, hit me up, and I'm more than happy to help in whatever way I can. Thank you, Candy. Thank you, Candy, for the support. Thank you, Omar. Thank you all for tuning in. And if you're watching the replay, I thank you as well. Feel free to hit me up anytime, y'all. Have a good night.